Hi, welcome back to my watercolor channel. Today I paint a butterfly or a moth. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I assume it's a nice butterfly. The first thing that I do is to put some masking fluid onto the butterfly and onto the flower. And I use quite an old brush which I have basically destroyed by masking fluid, as I have used it before. Although my flower has quite a lot of detail, I avoided to do so with the butterfly because I know by the time I take off the masking fluid, I take off some of the pencils, so it's not worth it at this point to add too many details. Then I water the paper. First I spray some water on the paper and then I spread it with a big brush. Also at this point I take too much water off. Then I add some phthalo blue and I spread it equally with large brushed strokes from side to side. I have prepared quite a lot of paint, and as my painting is tilted, the paint kind of flows down. Then I take paint with a stronger pigment, so with less water, and I spread it around the wings. As well as I splash it onto the painting. I also prepared some lemon green, which I mixed out of phthalo blue and some lemon yellow. Then I add more of salt, so it gives a really nice effect and the background is not as boring. And then I take off some of the paint at the top while the paper is still wet. Around the flower I add some more of the stronger phthalo blue, and the reason why is because both the butterfly and the flower are nearly white, so very light in color, so I want to emphasize it by adding stronger colors around. And again, on the original photo, it was quite boring, so it was just the flower and the butterfly, and I tried to add more structure, so I use a stronger phthalo blue and add here and there some more of paint. Maybe there are some more flowers in the background and as well as some of butterflies. When the paint has dried, I took off the masking fluid and put more detail to the butterfly. I mixed a little bit of turquoise blue, it's very light in color, and then spread it around the wings. I have not wet the wings before. Then I have still the very bright green, which kind of flows in with the turquoise blue. It's equally very light in color, very diluted. Then to the body of the butterfly I added some more of opal rose mixed with a pinch of phthalo blues. It's a little bit purplish. And then I continue with the flower. Here and there I wet some of the petals with water, and then I add some of the phthalo blue. So it's like It varies a little bit in the strength. First I start with a very light layer and then I add more pigments to it. It is quite a detailed work, although of course I could have brushed over the entire flower, but I thought maybe it's worth it to put a little bit more of effort. Here I fast forward the process of painting the flower. But here I then add a little bit of the same color as I have used for the body of the butterflies. As in the original, on the original photo it was a little bit reddish, and then adding more of the pigments of the phthalo blue. I'm careful not to overdo it at this point because I really want the flower to remain quite light in color in contrast with the background. And then still continue with the petals. So basically adding a little bit, adding some of the colors in the middle of one of the petals, and then kind of leaving the edges more white. Then adding more of this upper rose mixture on the stem of the flowers and adding a stronger layer of the phthalo blue, so both paints are basically mixing with each other, but still here I make sure that the edge stays kind of like whitish. I continue with the butterfly and I add a little bit of a stronger grayish color, so basically which I mixed out of phthalo blue, some upper rose, and then a little bit of a yellowish color, make it look grayish but not too much. And I checked the color as well on a piece of paper what it looks like, so it looks more purple grayish. But then I add to the phthalo blue some viridian green and add it to the background of the butterfly. As well as adding some more color to the eye, which is just phthalo blue. I continue with the light layer of the phthalo blue and a little bit of greenish on the front wing, basically the wing you can see at the front. Then I mixed some a little bit stronger color so the wings really pop out against the background, and it's basically phthalo blue and some paints gray. But I have all the colors ready, so I can use each when it's needed. So these stronger strokes, darker strokes on the wings are basically really just phthalo blue and paints gray to make it much darker. Here I used my brush just really lightly and having interrupted lines. If probably I would advise to use a bit of a thinner brush. Also here, fast forward the process of painting the wing. But when adding the pattern on the wing, I looked at the reference picture, but one thing I have noticed that it looks much better and much more realistic if the pattern uses a bit of a different direction, gives the illusion of a different direction. So the wing is a little bit twisted or bended, so it kind of adding it to the painting and to use a different line work for the pattern. And this is why it is important if you to have a good drawing there. I have added this pattern beforehand rather than just going freestyle. It takes some time to be able to finish the wing, and I vary with some of the colors. So sometimes I use a bit stronger phthalo blue and some Payne's gray, but then to add more of different lines and to emphasize the bending of the wing, I use very light phthalo blue as well, and I add it on the area where the wing is slightly bending. I am not quite sure if you can see it from the painting. Then I continue adding some more stronger colors at the bottom of the wing, and here you can see as well that the wing is a little bit bended. And then adding some more of the dark color onto the eye. Then I continue with the antenna of the butterfly, but not adding too much color. I continue with the flower and adding some more green leaves or greenish leaves. And basically it is a mixture of phthalo blue and viridian blue, but by using very strong pigments of both of the colors. If you want to make it a little bit more greenish, then I recommend to add some more of the lemon yellow. And then, while I have used strong colors, I spread it with a little bit water, so not really mixing new colors, just very light greenish bluish colors. And then I was adding more of a strong bluish color between the petals, so I don't want to overdo it either in this case, because those flower petals should remain quite light, and then emphasizing the shape of the petals. So basically it is a little bit of a negative painting, so here and there in between having some stronger parts which are covered in stronger color. I was not happy with the body, so I added more of a purplish there and spreading it around. The reason why it looked too pinkish and it just didn't have the right balance. At last I add some more of those leaves for the flower, as well as adding more or filling in the space here as well, so it's adding more negative painting. And then having some more pinch of green to have some variety. Okay, thank you for watching and remember to subscribe. Bye!